It's the shocking sleep disorder that 70% of us will experience at some point. Parasomnia is the medical term for a range of sleep issues that cause you to have strange episodes whilst you sleep.
Yeah, but while some parasomnias can be relatively harmless, like sleep talking, for example, others can be so severe that the sleeper is unknowingly putting their life at risk every time they go to sleep.
Our next guest is someone who knows firsthand just how terrifying this can be. We're joined now by Sarah Taylor alongside sleep scientist Dr. Sophie Bostock. Good morning, ladies.
Morning,
Good
morning.
Now, we were chatting over the break, and some of the things, Sarah, where you wake up and you'll find a knife, or you'll have been chopping, or you'll... I mean, it's really scary stuff.
It's absolutely terrifying. Obviously, I can see the funny side to it, but as living in it and not having that control over your own body, not knowing what you've done in the night, having no clue, it's really unsettling. It's almost feeling like you've been possessed or something. And I'll wake up in the morning, as you say, you know, finding a sharp knife on the chopping board, finding mud on my shoes is always terrifying as well.
So it means you've been out of the house.
Yeah.
When did it all start?
Yeah.
So when I was at university in my second year, we kept waking up to finding cupboard doors open and doors open through the entire house and in the bedrooms as well. And, you know, we're quite sciencey, but we joke, you know, as it goes, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And it must have been a good 2 months before I woke up mid-walk and I was in the kitchen holding the cupboard door open, some bread in front of me, and it was just like this, you know, huge light bulb moment of, oh my gosh, it's me, and oh, what else have I done if I'm a sleepwalker? It was really quite a shocking moment. Of course, all my housemates were immediately like, oh, please don't walk in my room at night, you know. But yeah, it was quite a shocking way to find out.
But also that whole thing where you describe having muddy shoes or you've been out and about. I mean, there is a massive element of danger to this too, that you basically have no control over.
Completely. You know, I've woken up literally with my keys in the door, with my shoes on, and I don't know if I'm going out or coming in. I had one time, even when I'm not entirely asleep, so I woke up mid-walk once, and it's like full amnesia if you wake up mid-sleepwalking.
So you don't remember any of it?
Where I am,
okay.
who I am, anything. So I just think I'm in this strange house. There's this strange man in my bed who was my boyfriend, and I honestly thought I'd been kidnapped. I didn't have a clue what was going on or where I was, so I army crawled out of there, you know, fearing for my safety, not wearing enough clothing, unfortunately. And I was out on the road, you know, all the lorries and trucks going by. And then it was like just a wave came over me of, oh no, this is where I live, that's my boyfriend. And luckily I caught the door just before I got locked out. But it's so strange to go from utter panic and amnesia to suddenly it all just came flooding back.
Fitting into place. But you've actually, at times, you've tried to lock yourself into the bedroom, haven't you? But you've somehow managed to evade all of those security measures.
Yeah. It's amazing how clever we can be when completely unconscious. So we put a lock very high up on the door because I'm quite short, thinking I can't reach it, but, you know, I must be moving furniture. We'll find sort of there's a bench in the room that has moved. So I'm obviously doing quite complex tasks to escape, and we've tried things to monitor it, like putting a pedometer on my ankle, but I'll just take it off. You know, there's nothing that can stop me.
Oh my goodness, you're ingenious. Even when you're asleep, you're ingenious. But there's also another element to it as well. You've got a little girl who's 5.
Yeah, and it's so scary.
So what if you went in and you picked up the baby or...?
Completely. I mean, I think the first 2 months, everyone's so sleep-deprived, you hardly sleep anyway.
Exactly, it's like sleepwalking through life.
So once I was a few months in and getting proper sleep and the walking was coming back, I was terrified. You know, was I going to try and feed her? Was I going to carry her? And then my body flicked to a different task. So it was a really, really terrifying time. My husband used to reassure me every night, you know, you've got strong motherly instincts, you won't do anything to hurt her. But obviously, the more you worry about it, I think the more likely it seems to kind of feed in. The things I worry about seem to feed through into my sleepwalking sometimes.
And how about your husband? How does he cope? Because didn't you create a fort with all the...
Yeah.
I
literally, so I do very odd things. Apparently, I went dancing with Batman one night.
Wow.
How lovely.
Lucky me, eh? And stole the pillows from literally under his head and around the room, refused to give them back and built a pillow fort that apparently I crouched in for a good hour and a half and just refused to let him have that.
And is he trying to wake you up at that stage, or is he...
No, he knows not to wake me because it's that amnesia, it's that panic. It's a very scary thing. But what he'll sometimes do is just kind of tap the side of the bed, and that sometimes kind of signals me to walk back into bed. I'll still be sat wide open, you know, like I'm still through the motions, but at least I'll be contained. But he's actually got reduced hearing, so I usually don't wake him up. So he tends
You're quite a team, aren't you?
I know, right? Perfect match, eh?
Wow.
But yeah, no, it's quite scary. And I'll do the morning routine a lot, you know, sort of hair, teeth, feeding the pets.
While you're asleep?
Yeah, my poor dentist, she hates the gum recession from the overbrushing, but I can't do anything about that. We've tried locking them away, but I just get the toothbrush out.
Sophie, it's fascinating hearing Sarah talk about it, and we're laughing.
It is, it's funny, but
also
scary.
the sort of the absurdity of it, but it's also very worrying as well. How common is it?
For adults to sleepwalk, it's really quite unusual. I think to go through childhood and not have any episodes of a parasomnia, the most common being probably nightmares, but sleepwalking is probably the most common non-REM parasomnia. So we sleep in different stages. We start in a stage 1 light sleep, and then we come to stage 2, which is a bit deeper, and then there's stage 3, which is a very deep sleep where it's very hard to wake someone up. And then in a natural course of a night, you'll come back through something called REM, rapid eye movement sleep, which is often associated with dreaming. And in between sleep cycles, you'll often have a short period of wakefulness. Now, what happens in a parasomnia like Sarah's is that part of the brain is still in deep sleep. It's hanging on to deep sleep for dear life, but actually part of the brain is partially awake. So you've got, if you were to put a memory trace on Sarah's skull, you would actually see that she's in deep sleep, but just some visual awareness creeps in, but she doesn't have consciousness. She's not doing purposeful movements. She's not aware what's going on, and she won't probably have very much memory of what's going on. So it's interesting your point about when you were woken up during deep sleep, you know, you got quite afraid, and there's a bit of a myth around that we shouldn't wake up a sleepwalker. And the reason for that is actually for the safety of the person that wakes you up, because very often sleepwalkers can become quite aggressive. As you said, you thought you'd been kidnapped. And so if you can softly sort of propel them back to bed, that's probably the best thing, because usually they will fall back to sleep again afterwards.
And Dr. Sophie, is there anything that you can do, or is there anything that triggers it, or is there any things that Sarah should steer clear of?
Well, certainly Sarah's the expert. What we would say generally is that there's something which is disrupting the quality of your sleep. Now, for your brain to want to hang on to that deep sleep, it's probably been sleep deprived in some way. Now, sometimes that's just an irregular sleep pattern. Very often it's down to some kind of stress.
Something you're worrying about?
Something that's keeping you a little bit on edge. Sometimes it's alcohol, often medication, even things like coughs and cold medication that might contain a bit of caffeine can push you kind of over the edge. And I know you've had experiences where stress has definitely been a trigger.
Yeah, hugely. When I had my exams at uni, I would massively sleepwalk every night for a good sort of 2.5 months solid every night. It's exhausting. I wake up like I've been at the gym all night long. I'm often covered in bruises from knocking into things in my sleep. It drains so much out of you at a time where obviously there's a lot going on. Or like my wedding, you know, I had, my legs were covered in bruises on my wedding day because I'd sleptwalk like mad the 2 weeks leading up to it.
Oh, my goodness.
It was funny because we showed a little bit of footage as well, Sophie, of someone doing some press-ups. So someone's actually exercising while they're fast asleep. And I'm thinking, brilliant, you get your training done in the middle of the night.
People clean sometimes in their sleep, but also eating. And I think this is something you've experienced, it's sleep eating.
Unfortunately, I eat all the unhealthy things. I'm very envious of all these people who eat healthy and do exercise. No, it's always the unhealthy things. We'll find even the block of cheese in the fridge has been gnawed on and little teeth marks. Or terribly, one day I had an awful day at work, so I'd brought a load of donuts for everyone at work the next day, and I sent my husband a very angry message saying, "You've taken the donuts from my colleagues," but he just replied saying, "Did you feel hungry at all when you woke up?" And I'd eaten 12 donuts and just eaten them all over the sink. I know.
Can you cure it? I mean, I don't know whether it's something you can cure. Can you appease the sleepwalking?
Usually by concentrating on sleep hygiene. So you are protecting enough time for sleep, you're having really regular sleep patterns, sometimes some cognitive behavioural therapy to perhaps tackle the source of anxiety, depression, stress. Not always, and I know that Sarah's sort of been through the mill over the years with things that she's tried. Certainly with sleep eating, we tend to find that if you have regular eating patterns throughout the day, no strict dieting, that tends to be a trigger for the sleep eating. So for most people, they can bring it under control. It's relatively unusual that it will be as severe as this, fortunately.
OK. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and thank you for being so open about it, because it is that thing where it's funny to a point and then it's terrifying.
Really concerning.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning. Now, while it's well known that hot flashes, heart palpitations and difficulty sleeping are all physical symptoms of the menopause, many people don't realise the toll that hormonal changes can take on women's mental health.
While unknowingly going through perimenopause, Lindsay Martin rapidly descended into a very dark depression, attempting to take her own life before being sectioned under the Mental Health Act.
But after her GP husband, Kieran, decided she should try HRT, things quickly started to improve. They're joining us now to share the shocking story alongside renowned menopause expert, Dr. Louise Newson. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Lindsay, let's start with you. Can you take us back to the beginning, essentially, and set up the story for us?
So this is exactly 2 years ago now.
Oh, it's only 2 years?
Yeah, just 2 years ago. And I started off with anxiety. I'm not an anxious person.
No.
But this anxiety, it was about the simplest things, just daily chores. Would I get a parking space on the school run? What am I going to put on the food shop? Just really low-level things. But I recognised something had changed within me. So I got in touch with my GP practice.
Not your GP husband?
Well, he's my husband, but not my doctor.
OK.
So, but I obviously discussed it with Kieran, and it appeared as an anxiety disorder, and that's what I went
Can
expecting.
I just ask how old you were?
I was 45.
45 at the time.
Yeah. And I was placed on antidepressants, but that's what I expected. I was thinking it's an anxiety disorder, therefore that's what I would be given. But it rapidly spiralled. The anxiety got worse. I found I was getting heart palpitations. And within about 6 weeks, it was as if a light had been switched off in me. There was no joy. And you could have lined up my children with 1,000 other children. And I felt absolutely nothing.
Well, that was one of the things when I was reading about this case, was it was like you felt like you got no love inside you at all in the space of a very short period of time.
It was literally in a matter of weeks. I went from working, functioning, to just really this joy had left. And shortly after this horrible feeling of lack of emotion, the intrusive thoughts came, and I constant thoughts of suicide, and I just didn't want to be here.
Kieran, I can't imagine what that's like to process as somebody's husband, but as a medical professional as well. It must have been so confusing.
It was, because obviously, as you say, I've had experience with this over 20 years of being a doctor. But to watch your wife go through it, and it was, I could see it in her eyes. It's like she'd gone. Literally, there was nothing there. And she was always open about the thoughts, and she was able to sort of tell me all the time that I want to kill myself, I don't want to be here. And she loves our kids, you know, and it's the same case now, but it just gone. As she said, she just had nothing in her that was worth carrying on for. And it was about trying to get her the help. And obviously, we went down the route and went down the mental health route, because at that point, that's what it seemed like.
You had to be sectioned.
Yeah, I had to be sectioned.
I mean, that's an extraordinarily extreme measure to take, but it was that bad.
Kieran was having to watch me 24/7, and it was done for safety reasons.
Because you did try to attempt to take your own life.
Yeah, at this point, I'd certainly made it quite known that that's what was going to happen. But it was later down the line that I actually
attempted.
Yeah.
So then when you got sectioned, what happened next?
I was in a inpatient facility for, I think, 6 weeks. They tried different antidepressants, different combinations, and I was also given ECT.
Electric shock.
Which was the electroconvulsive therapy, which, again, but that, you know, it's used in extreme cases. There is some really great evidence to say it will work with some mental health disorders, but nothing was really changing, and I was just... These intrusive thoughts, they were just 24/7. I can't explain it. It was like wading through treacle. It's so hard to explain, like the mental torture.
So you're having all this treatment, really extreme electric shock treatments, antidepressants. When did somebody bring up the menopause or hormones?
They didn't. This was it. It was said as a background comment. Maybe this could be her hormones. But that was it. It was never, this could be her hormones, therefore maybe there's an alternative route. It was being treated as a mental health disorder, therefore traditional mental health therapy.
So what happened then to step over that line from it just being something people were ignoring to actually going, well, let's give it a go?
Yeah, I came out on weekend leave and saw my children for the first time in 6 weeks, and it was like being a stranger in my own home. And then I tried to kill myself. And thankfully, it didn't go to plan. I did sustain some serious injuries. I fractured my spine and my pelvis in a few places and caused some real damage to my left foot. And I was then in a trauma orthopaedic ward. So I was out of the inpatient facility, and they were treating my physical symptoms, whereas my mental symptoms was, in fact, I was even worse then. I was sort of trapped in a physical situation as well as a mental situation.
So whose idea was it to try the HRT?
Was it
Kieran?
Yeah.
And what made you suddenly think, you know what, we've tried everything else. That's what it sounds like when you read it. Try it.
Because we'd done all the things that it seemed like it was.
Yeah.
So the mental health, all of the things that
So you've done a
I
checklist.
thought,
Let's rule everything out.
And I spoke to one of the psychiatrists and got a second opinion, and it was a female psychiatrist who listened. And she said, I don't know how to prescribe it or what to do, but let's give it a go. And she was on an orthopaedic ward, but they don't know how to do it. They asked the specialist, which is the gynaecologist, and they said, speak to a GP. So the doctor spoke to me, I told them what to do, and then they prescribed it just before she was discharged.
How quick was that turnaround, Lindsay, from when you started on the
The HRT, it was literally within 28 days. It was...
You were a completely different person.
It was like waking up from a nightmare.
From attempting suicide, 28 days later.
Yeah, and I was me again, just me, and it was horrifying to sort of relive what had happened, but at the same time, I was just so grateful that it was like, I'm back.
Louise, it's extraordinary to hear this from the sidelines. It's their lived experience, which is even more terrifying for them. So thankful that they found the answer. But how it could have gone on for so long with no one thinking, hey, does anyone think this could be? She's about the right sort of age.
Yeah, and it's not rare. Yeah.
It's really sad, and it's the bit that worries me the most, because it's not rocket science, any of this, because we know our hormones work in our brains. Our brain produces estradiol, progesterone, testosterone, and levels decline, most commonly in the 40s. And the commonest symptoms of perimenopause and menopause are low mood, anxiety, brain fog, memory problems, poor sleep, brain disorder, really.
Yes.
And so, but we weren't trained. I had a meeting with a lot of the doctors I worked with last night, and we were all saying we've never seen this transformational effect because we've never tried. When we were doing psychiatry training, general practice training, we weren't taught, so you don't see the results.
Yeah.
But when you do, you want to scream from the rooftops, because every day I'm being confronted by people who do have very dark thoughts, and the number of women who are in mental hospitals under psychiatrists who aren't able to access HRT is staggering, not just in the UK, but globally.
I mean, you're a GP, Kieran. Yeah. Since this experience, have you sort of suddenly started going, GPs need more training in what's happening with menopause and perimenopause?
I think it's also resources.
Right.
You know, as we all know, general practice, you know, like the NHS is struggling, and we're in an election year, and they're all talking about it, but they need to put the money where their mouth is. And we need that support for the resources, for the training, to assist us in doing the job as well as we could do it.
Yeah.
But we need the people, we need the time.
And how are you feeling now? You look amazing.
Yeah, you do. I feel great now. It was literally like a really awful period in my life, and it ended. And then I'm back to me, and I just think I had no idea that I was perimenopausal. Absolutely, it wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
So it can't just be me.
No. It's not just you.
No, it isn't.
And that's the point, isn't it? Louise is going to be here a little bit later on with our phone-in on your menopause questions. We've been absolutely inundated with people who want some answers and want some help, just like you as well. So fingers crossed we can find that help. Thank you for sharing your story, though. It's great to meet both of you.
Thank you very much.
And Louise, we'll see you in just a bit. Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
Now, she underwent her first cosmetic procedure when she was just 17 years old, and in the years that have followed, Jessica Alves has spent £1 million morphing herself into a human Barbie doll.
But after more than 100 surgeries, is she finally ready to say goodbye to the operating table? She's joining us now to reveal why she's never felt more confident Lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you again. We've never met each other before.
We met, I think it was about 8 years ago on This Morning.
Yes,
we first met a long time ago.
Here I'm back. It's lovely to see you again and obviously to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
We had a little chat when I was getting my makeup done.
did.
And I'm so happy to be here. So thanks for having me.
It's been quite 4 years for you, I think, Jessica, hasn't it, since you first decided you came out as trans?
As a woman.
Yeah, as a woman. And we were talking in there, you've spent over £1 million on your surgery, you've had over 100 procedures. Do you finally feel you are where you want to be physically?
It's been a very long journey. It's been very painful, very expensive, difficult to those around me as well, like my family and friends. Each time that I decided, OK, I need another surgery now. In the past, I felt like a dog trying to bite its own tail.
Right.
Why?
Up to the point that I reached a wall that I just can't live like this anymore. And then I did what I had to do, and here I am, very healthy and happy to tell you a story. It's not the end, obviously, but it is the end of my surgeries. I really don't need anything else. I had everything that I could possibly do under the sun. There's no space for anything else here. And I just want to live life. I'm 40 years old, and I've just been catching up with lost time, really, living the best life and trying to be inspirational also, using my social media, television shows like yours around the world, to be to inspire people and empower those. And I hope that also that a lot of people can learn from my experience as well.
You said you're 40 years old, that you aren't going to do any more surgeries. Do you now feel comfortable in your own skin? Because that's definitely something that I got as I got older. You become comfortable in your own skin.
I do, yes, I do. And even when I was getting my makeup done here today, thank you everybody who made me look pretty here this morning. Yeah, the guys here know me for quite a while. They say, Jessica, you're so much more calmer and in peace with yourself, and I am. I had a vocal cord surgery, and that was 4 years ago. I would like to get another one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a
so you're not quite
it's
done
a
with
functional
surgery.
It's not a beauty surgery. It's nothing related to beauty.
And why are you doing that,
I just don't
Jessica?
like my voice very much.
So you'd like it to be a little bit higher?
Yes, exactly.
More
So when I get asked to do radio shows, I always turn it down because I hate the sound of my voice.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you feel now that you are in the right body for you? Have you always felt like...
Yes, I never felt... I even get emotional when I think deeply about it. I've never felt so happy in my life. And I just feel sorry that my life started so late, really. Obviously, I lived a great life before. I achieved so much. But when I got home in my intimacy, here in my apartment in London or in America or anywhere that I am, because I'm always traveling, I would feel so down and depressed, knowing that that the persona that I was projecting on television, that person that I was selling to the public, was a fake image. And now I just can't be more genuine than I am here right now. And
you're ready to look for love now as well.
Oh, I have been looking for love for a while.
Okay.
I know that you have some friends because I follow you on Instagram. So you better hook me up.
Your friends have better watch out.
Honestly.
Just need to point me in the right direction. Who would be your dream partner?
Fairly intelligent.
Yes.
Yes.
Hardworking.
Yes.
Adventurous. Fun. Not funny. Fun.
Fun, not funny.
Fun to be around with.
Spontaneous.
And, no, I'm a little bit sapiosexual. Do you know what that means?
No.
Sapiosexual.
Cypersexual. Sapiosexual.
So basically, I'm attracted to intelligent minds.
So whatever
you can be as good looking as you are, painted in gold, but if you haven't got...
We need intelligent
She
minds.
speaks 5 languages.
Unfortunately, if you're after intelligent minds, you've ruled out all of my friends. Jessica, it's lovely to see you. We're glad that you are well and happy. And we will stay in touch so we can see how this adventure in love goes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you too.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning. Now, as we continue our Women's Health Week, we're discussing something that affects millions of women every year, urinary tract infections. But despite being so common, they're often still considered taboo.
Yeah, and if left untreated, UTIs can spread to your kidneys and cause permanent damage, which is exactly what happened to our next guest, presenter Cherry Healy. Joins us alongside senior urologist Jean McDonald. Good morning to both of you.
Good
Jean,
morning. Thank you.
Cherry, I'm aware of UTIs. I know that my wife has experienced them in the past. But your first experience of a UTI was when you were tiny.
Absolutely tiny. So some people, the reason UTIs are a taboo is because they're associated with sex and hygiene after sex. So and when people say to you, because I've had chronic UTIs, they say, oh, is it, how's your hygiene? I think I was 3 when I first got them. I thought I was 6. And my first memory is at my old house where I grew up. And I thought I was 6. And I called my mum and I asked her, and she said, no. She said, you were 3. I couldn't know. And she said, you actually had to go to hospital and you were put on a funny machine where you were turned upside down and you were filled with dye. And I mean, don't you love the drama? And Alison with the drama. And I said, I can't believe that. And that kind of also made sense as to why I'm so prone to them. But I remember having one when I was 6, and I've had them on and off throughout my life. My worst block of time was in my in my 30s after I had my 2 children. Obviously, something happened physiologically or hormonally that meant my body just couldn't get enough of them. Yeah, every month.
And what were the symptoms that you were experiencing then?
So the symptoms that there are lots of different symptoms, but the way it shows up in my body is wanting to pee, wanting to go to the loo. But then when you do go to the loo, it's really frustrating because it's only a couple of drops. You're like, come on! Take a book is my recommendation. And feeling sick, feeling a bit depressed, which is a funny one, but I've spoken to other women and they feel the same too. Feeling a bit down, feeling really uncomfortable. I spoke to the lady in your makeup room. She put it perfectly. She said, I want to take off my own skin, which is obviously very dramatic, but after a while, because it builds and it builds and it builds, that infection gets worse and worse, it gets to the point where it's actually unbearable. So this idea that because lots of women experience it, half of women have experienced a UTI and a quarter of women chronic UTI, so they're extremely common. I think there's a sense of, and this happens a lot with women's health, there's a sense of, oh God, just take a painkiller and go home, have a hot bath. They're serious, and if left untreated, you can end up getting sepsis and you can die. So I don't want to over-dramatize, but they should be taken more seriously. We should have an over-the-counter, non-antibiotic treatment. At the moment, there's not much you can do. You can just take antibiotics, which isn't good. You shouldn't take antibiotics. We all know that you don't want to become immune. That's a real problem.
Yeah.
There are 3 over-the-counter solutions to erectile dysfunction, just over-the-counter, non-antibiotic. There's not a single one for UTIs, and that just says there's a real gender health gap in things that are common for women.
And they can kind of strike anywhere, anytime, any place. You had one particular occasion where it was so dramatic and you got so ill, didn't you?
Well, it was my own fault, Kat. I was my own doing. So I was filming, and on the Wednesday evening of filming, I thought, I
think I might be getting...
Woke up on Thursday, yes, it's definitely there.
Yeah.
But I was a bridesmaid. I was actually maid of honour at one of my best friends' wedding, and I thought, I was going straight from filming to her wedding in the countryside, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's no way I could get to a doctor.
You couldn't get something.
So I just was drinking cranberry juice, taking painkillers, which don't work. Painkillers don't work for UTIs. And I could feel my body getting sicker and sicker. I went through the Friday night celebrations, smiling like... and then by Saturday at the wedding, I just felt horrendous. And my partner, who then joined, looked at me and said, you look really bad. I had a blanket wrapped around me the whole wedding pretty much because I was shaking uncontrollably because there was a fever. What had happened is the UTI... Because I also thought, maybe it's getting better.
Right, it was improving.
And what had happened is it had moved up to my kidneys.
Oh, no.
So then I got really, really, really sick, and I just went into a dark room and I sat there with a headache, and that's when the infection really set in. Went to A&E the next day, and they just couldn't work out what was going on. And I underplayed UTIs so much because I just thought everyone got them. I didn't even tell them I'd had one because I didn't think that was it. Because I thought it had gone.
You thought it was something else at that point?
It's only when they going to do a lumbar puncture on me to find out, because they realised I was really, really, really unwell. And they turned me over onto my tummy, and she pushed my back, and I went, ow! And she said, oh.
And it's actually scarred your kidneys.
Yeah, she said, I think it's in your kidneys. And I was in hospital for 5 days.
Oh, Cherry.
On an IV antibiotics. And it scarred my kidneys. And that's what happens if you don't listen to your body.
Yeah.
Jean, I imagine you hearing Cherry talk about it like that. It's something you've heard over and over again from women who have been through this. Can you just describe what the UTI is? And is there a reason that certain people are more susceptible? Cherry has been getting them since she was 3.
Right. Well, a urinary tract infection is an infection in the bladder. And basically what happens, you may just suddenly get up, usually on a Friday or a Saturday, because
it's always... Why?
Yes.
Why?
I know, it always is a day that you can't go to the doctor. And then you're passing urine quite frequently.
Right.
You may feel a bit under the weather. In a sort of situation, you may sort of have blood in the urine. Or urine smells a bit off, and you're rushing to the toilet, but you're actually not passing much. And you get these symptoms, and then it's important to drink lots of fluids. And then what happens then is that you may go to the chemist or, and sort of ask for something. But there are different things that one can actually use and, try to use, like D-mannose, for example, and cranberry, but...
So that works, is it? It's not a myth. Cranberry juice works?
It's different. It works with different people.
Right, OK.
Because, as you know, everybody is different, and some bodies react to one thing and others another one.
With cranberry.
What
delicious, though.
What does the cranberry juice do? Does it change the acid level?
The acidity, yes, in the urine.
OK.
And then it prevents the bacteria from actually binding to the bladder.
OK.
Jean, is there a reason why Cherry would be more susceptible than any other women in the family, potentially?
The thing is, she says she had urinary tract infections from when she was quite young.
Right.
So you think whether or not she had something called vesico-ureteric reflux. And that is when, because urine should be coming from the kidney down to the bladder.
Yeah.
And if the opening, when it comes in, it's bigger than it should be, urine can reflux up into the kidney. And that can happen usually as the child grows up, then the ureter sort of lengthens, so to speak, and it may not be as bad as they go. But, she has a family history of this, so that's another thing. Yeah. And it would make you more prone to have infections later in life as well, especially,
Absolutely.
Is there anything people can do to kind of try and prevent them from happening?
Right. There are lots of different things. One can make sure hygiene is very important. So you wipe from the front to the back, right? Yeah. Because, what happens in ladies, and the reason that ladies get urinary tract infections is because the whole of that perineal area, where the rectum is, the vagina, and the urethra, always has bacteria, no matter how clean you are. Yeah. And the bacteria that cause a urinary tract infection are bacteria that live in your gut. So taking things like probiotics can help. Having adequate hydration, making sure that you're drinking enough fluids. Usually some people complain after sexual intercourse, especially if you use sort of these spermicidal agents, that as well is one of the things that can cause you to get urinary tract infection.
Is there a point, at what point should you go to your GP, though? Because clearly Cherry can deal with it and copes with it on a day-to-day basis and works it through and knows you know your body very well.
I'm never very far away from antibiotics.
Yeah, you've always got something with you.
But when would you say, right, now you need to see your GP?
If you're getting pain, if you get blood in the urine and you've tried sort of the normal measures, and it's not working, and even antibiotics for 3 days and it's not working, then you know that something quite serious is happening, and then it can actually go up to the kidneys. And then you can get pyelonephritis, and which can be very, very serious. Exactly.
OK. So 3 days and then,
I was just saying, and Jay has got in touch saying having a UTI was literally one of the worst things that happened to me. I remember thinking I was going to die because it was so severe. I couldn't breathe, my head was spinning, my back was hurting, and I kept passing out. And that sounds like where you were when you ended up in A&E.
I mean, I've met so many people who say when they get them, they sleep naked in the bath because it's just the only place they have comfort. The FDA have just approved an oral vaccine which will stop you getting UTIs for up to 10 years.
Wow.
But that's in America, not here. But we need a lot more research for non-antibiotic solutions for something that affects so many women.
Yes, absolutely.
This is another message we have from a viewer. UTIs are horrific. I had 7 already since January. No bacteria, so no antibiotics. Absolutely excruciating pain. Thank you this morning for covering it. Thank you, Cherry, for being courageous enough to come and share something so personal but so important as well. It's really, really important that you do. And Jean, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning. Our next guest has quite the unique diet. For the last 5 years, he's been enjoying meals consisting of raw spleens, kidneys, and even raw chicken.
Yeah, that's right. You heard it right. Despite doctors' warnings, he claims his controversial diet has made him feel even better than ever. Gives him the urge to howl like a wolf.
Well, let's dive into this wild story and find out why. Weston Rowe joins us now live from his home in Nebraska. And Dr. Zoe is with us here around the table. Morning to you both. Good morning. Just a quick reminder, if you want to have your say, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now. Good morning, Weston. Thank you so much. I know it's about 5:24 in the morning there, so thank you for getting up nice and early for us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good morning, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Good morning. So tell us, how much meat do you consume in a week? Is it every single meal?
Yeah, we eat raw meat every meal here, and I do about 2 pounds a day, so about, I'd say, 14 pounds a week.
Right, and how long have you been doing this for, Weston, and what was the catalyst for it?
Well, it's been about, I would say, 5.5 years. It'll be 6 years here in August. And what happened was I just kind of started having some health issues late in my 20s and early 30s, and, skin problems and, brain fog and fatigue and just a lot of issues that people face today. And I decided to take matters in my own hands and go ahead and address it with diet, because I knew that, eating good food always made me feel better. And so I just kind of took one step at a time and basically ended up here.
Eating good food undoubtedly is going to make you feel better, but there's a big difference from eating sort of a broad range diet of fruit and vegetables and protein to then just sticking with the meat and then raw meat at that. How did you decide that was going to be the route that you went down?
Yeah, it was like a path that I followed, and a lot of people end up here. It started with going gluten-free. That's a big movement. People cut out bread and grains and things like that. And I noticed a huge increase in my health by just cutting out gluten.
Yeah.
So I may have had some kind of non-celiac gluten intolerance or celiac disease or something going on. So I decided to take it a step further and cut out all carbohydrates. And so then they call that the carnivore diet. And I was cooking just meat and eggs and eating bacon and things like that all day long for about a month. And then I discovered the raw meat diet, which people claim makes you feel even better. And so then I just stopped cooking my food and I felt even better right away. So I just ended up here and I just never stopped doing it.
So, Weston, obviously, we were actually talking about it in the break before we came to you, and we were talking about eating sushi and eating raw steak and steak tartare and things like that. We've all definitely done that, but you eat everything. What was it like the first time, I don't know, you ate chicken or something different? What was the kind of the taste like, and also just even the feeling?
The mental experience of doing that as well.
Yeah, well, I guess the first thing I ever tried was a steak, like a ribeye steak. I guess that's probably the easiest thing to start out with. Most people can usually handle that. And it wasn't too bad, really. Like, I had a little bit of kind of a gag reflex because it was such a new texture and flavor. It took a while for my palate to adjust to just the bland taste, because we're so used to eating, salty, sugary foods our whole life. When we go back to what I believe is our natural diet, it can be quite a shock. So it took me a while to adjust to the flavors. And I actually gagged for a long time, but I knew it was the healthiest diet I could eat, and eventually got to the point to where it's very interesting. I actually really enjoy the flavors now.
And it's, as Kat was saying, it's about coming up to 5:30 in the morning, so it's breakfast time. The step from beef is one thing, but chicken is something else that you will eat raw. Was that a hard step to overcome, to actually take? Because we're told so often that you must cook chicken. Chicken can be really, really dangerous if it is eaten raw.
Yeah, that's a common thing that a lot of people believe, and I find it actually kind of funny because I've eaten like hundreds of raw chickens over the last 5 years, and I've never gotten what people call salmonella poisoning. So I think there's a lot more going on to the germ theory that germs cause disease, and you can get sick from eating raw meat. I think there's a lot more going on there than we're being taught, and
right.
I think I'm on a proof of that.
Okay. Yeah, I think you've got some chicken there, haven't you? You're going to eat some chicken for us for breakfast?
Sure, yeah. I got this is a local raw pastured chicken breast, or this is a chicken leg. This is from a local farmer. I get everything from local farmers, and yeah, it's really nothing. It's pretty bland. It's not too bad.
Wow. So while you chow down on that for a second,
what's the texture like, Wes? Can I just ask, what's the texture like of that?
Well, I mean, it's just squishy and a little bit slimy.
It's like eating chicken. Dr. Zoe's here in the studio. Yeah. Now, it's an interesting point, isn't it? He thinks there's lots of things going on about germ theory and with regards to what's in there. We can't recommend everybody or anybody goes and eats raw chicken, right?
No. Well, I would advise definitely not doing that. I mean, there's some things Weston said there is getting it from a local farmer. It's locally sourced. His farmer knows he's eating it raw. So I'm sure, there are certain things like that. If it's stored properly and looked after, you can reduce the risk. But we also know that in America, 48 million people every year end up getting foodborne illnesses. So things like salmonella, campylobacter, clostridium, hepatitis A, worms, especially with pork. There's a really nasty type of worm infection you can get from raw pork that can then go to your brain, into your eyes. So there are, we know, lots of infectious diseases that we see. I've seen patients who've had it, and there are certain things you can do to reduce the risk of that. But, we've all had a steak cooked rare.
Yeah,
I have.
But that was what we were talking
about. And with red meat, these bacteria, these pathogens, only tend to survive on the outside, which is why it usually has to be seared all the way around. The difference with chicken is that those pathogens can travel all the way through the flesh, which is why it has to be thoroughly cooked. The same with mincemeat. You have to thoroughly cook it.
We're just going, what's that? Is that a kidney of some sort?
Is it kidney or is it liver?
Grass-fed beef liver.
Grass-fed beef liver. Okay.
So, liver, very high in nutrients. It's something that some people may like to eat cooked. I wouldn't recommend eating it raw. Important point that people who are pregnant should not consume liver because it has toxic levels of vitamin A.
What about that point that Weston makes, that actually it's not only, it's improved his health, he feels euphoric when he's eating it, and actually it's given him energy, and it's cleared the brain fog, and he feels all around much better.
Well, I think one of my other concerns about a diet that is 99% meat is nutritional deficiencies as well. There are lots of nutrients that we need as human beings that we can't get from animal sources, but I'm sure something Weston and I would very much agree on is that the typical modern-day diet in the UK and in the US is far too much ultra-processed foods.
Yes.
I think in the US, it makes up about 70% now of a person's typical diet. And that is toxic to us. It's not good for us. And one way to get rid of all those processed foods is to do a carnivore diet. I don't necessarily think it's the healthiest way. Some people go vegan and cut out all ultra-processed foods and can be very healthy as well. We are omnivores, so we are designed to be capable of eating both meat and plant foods, and you can cut out ultra-processed foods and do that, which I would pose as likely to be the healthiest option.
Weston, do you miss anything? Are you missing any food that you don't no longer eat? Ice cream, things like that?
Well, actually, we make raw ice cream here at the house. So we get raw milk and raw cream and raw eggs and raw honey, and we mix it all up and we make our own ice cream here. So we try to, sneak in little healthy snacks there.
And you've managed to get your girlfriend to do this diet as well with you, Weston, correct?
Yeah, and she's now my wife. And we have a baby.
Congratulations.
Yeah, she does it. She does it too. We all eat it. And her health has never been better too. It's been such a fun journey.
And then if you have a young family as well, what will you do with the young family?
Oh, they're going to be eating with us as well, for sure. We're all going to be eating that way, definitely.
It's absolutely fascinating. Weston, thank you for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed your breakfast. It was extraordinary watching you eat it. I'm going to imagine what the flavour was like. And we should reiterate, particularly, Zoe, with the chicken.
Yes, and I think for anybody who, if they do go on to have a family during pregnancy, this is not safe. And for children as well, they can't get all the nutrients they need from animal products alone.
We do not recommend that you eat raw chicken. Fascinating stuff. Thank you, Weston.
Thanks, Weston.
Zoe, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
According to new research, couples in their 60s are divorcing in their droves in what is being branded the silver splitter revolution.
Wow. We're joined now by one woman who's proving your love life doesn't have to end after you've called it quits.
Tina Pembleton, who's 69 years old, has made it her mission to find love before she hits 70, and she's been documenting it on social media.
You're going to love Tina.
I'm 69 and I'm dating. I'm not looking for a man I can just do puzzles with or sit by the fire. I want to be on fire. That was me 50 years ago. I was insecure. And look at me now. 69, little bit of a belly because I love my food. You like me or you leave me. I think I've been catfished by a plastic surgeon. You can still have a friend with benefits at my age. Why can't men make a little bit of an effort? I worry that maybe I'm too fiery, too loud. I'll only get louder as my hearing becomes a little bit more impaired. I got stood up by an Italian guy this week. There was no way I was going to rearrange. Ciao, bello. After all these years, I still don't understand what goes on in a man's head.
What is going on in a man's head,
Don't ask me. I've got no idea.
What is going on?
Italian will be... I mean, who's laughing now, Tina?
Well, unfortunately, you don't know what I was saying because it just said I was having, you know, bit of a sort of rant in Italian, but I was actually swearing at him.
Well done. Nice.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lovely to meet you.
You are just infectious. You are a ray of sunshine. We love the TikTok. Don't we?
Loving
I'm
the
69
TikToks.
and I'm dating. So let's start with, why did you start doing this?
Because I was a little fed up with all the dating apps. I haven't really had that much success. Otherwise, I wouldn't still be trying to find someone before I'm 70, and I've only got a few months left.
You've not always been, Tina, you've not always been single, though, have you? You were very happily married for...
over 30 years.
Over 30 years. Then you and your husband decided, you know, you just drifted apart, is that right?
We kind of separated about 7 years ago, and... You know, I just wanted more adventure in my life, new things, and wanted to come back and live in London. So here I am.
So you started using the dating apps?
Only a few years ago.
Just a few years ago. What's that experience been like?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't stop doing it because now I'm just swiping has become a full-time job. but I just think that really, if it was possible, probably still the best thing is to meet someone organically.
Right, okay.
If you could. I mean, I didn't grow up with dating apps, with texting.
No.
I didn't grow up with this, and I still find texting awful.
Yeah. It's a bit weird, isn't it? And all that kind of trying to decipher what someone's actually saying underneath it all.
But sometimes they don't say anything. They're so monosyllabic, or they talk about the weather. And I mean, you know, you can't get excited. So I'm looking at their face to start with. But sometimes it's not only that. You might sort of see what they do, see how they... Sometimes you can listen to their voices, which is, you know, tells a few things sometimes. But even when I do end up texting, I try to get to meet them as soon as I can.
Yes.
You like to be face-to-face?
So you
immediately.
know
Immediately.
you know
like, no, why don't we meet for a drink? You know, do you live in London?
Yeah. So who's your ideal man?
What are your requirements?
Come on,
that's a good
Maybe 10 years on.
Wow.
I'm not a cougar, by the way. I mean, a joke about this.
I think you might be.
No.
So what we're saying is the requirements you have when you're going through, because some of our viewers will be thinking, you know, at similar age to you, they're keen to try something like this. What are the requirements that you need in the man that you're going to be dating?
I think it's not just drop-dead good looks, you know. I mean,
you know.
I don't want... No, there's got to be charisma.
Right.
I want a man to be international.
Oh.
Yeah, it has to be. I'm a very international person. I have travelled a lot in my life. And now I just don't want to sit by the fire with someone with a pipe and slippers. I want someone to light my fire, you know?
Yes. Right, and let's talk about age, because, I mean, we may have some eligible
Suitors.
bachelors watching today that might be interested. What sort of ages are we looking at?
Well, I wouldn't go lower than probably...
25?
No, 55.
55, okay.
55.
So you go 55?
When I, you know, on my dating apps, I go like 55 to 70, early 70s.
That's a good window.
I've got some friends who are on dating apps,
yeah.
and they've also got some horror stories too of certain things that have happened, and or it's been going really well, and then all of a sudden, anything like that happened to you?
I wouldn't call them horror stories.
But?
I'd just call them disappointing stories.
Right.
I mean, my first date didn't even turn up. So
And that's your first one?
Now, that could have put me off forever.
Yes.
But it didn't. I thought, well, I'm just going to get used to this. Then I had a date where the picture wasn't bad. We said we'd meet for a tea or a coffee in the afternoon. I hadn't started dating people in the evening at that point. I thought it was safer to go in the daytime. Yeah. And when I met him, I could see the picture was at least 15 years old.
Right.
And we had chatted a little bit on the phone, because I like to do that first.
Yeah.
Just to get a feel. But when I met, I had absolutely nothing to say to him. And that's unusual for me.
Yeah.
I'm quite vocal.
I mean, we can tell.
But anyway, after a few minutes, we were talking and we had nothing in common. He said his favourite meal was steak and chips, and mine is fusion fish. Spicier than ever. So
sometimes the spice of life.
Yeah,
perhaps?
exactly. So next to this coffee shop was a fish shop. And I suddenly thought, how am I going to get away from this guy? I said, look, I've got to go and buy some fish because they're going to close soon.
Right.
Not thinking...
Did you do a run at tea?
No, he got up with me, paid for the tea.
Nice.
He said he couldn't bear the smell of fish, and he walked into the fish shop with me.
Oh, so
he quite
so he
liked
followed
you then.
He was...
So I suddenly
He was
said...
smitten.
So I said to him, well, it was really nice meeting you.
Yeah.
And he said, well, is that it? Aren't we going to see each other again?
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, to be honest, I don't think we've got much in common.
Did you do all this in the shop?
Yes.
You let him down in the fish shop?
In the fish shop. That's why he doesn't like the smell of fish anymore.
Heartbreak.
You've got kids, though. It's your son that encouraged the TikToks,
Yes,
which
Josh.
we absolutely love. And it's gone viral. Some of your videos have been watched over a couple of million times. What do your kids make of this, Tina, this newfound digital dating fame?
Well, I mean, you know, my other son is married with young children, so he doesn't get as active. Josh is very protective of me, actually. Yeah. And he, if I go out, he's like, it's a bit of a role reversal. He's like waiting up for me, like, you're late, or where have you been? Or if I'm going out in the evening, he'll try and check where I'm going exactly in case, you know, anything happens. But I'm pretty safe when I go out. I always meet in busy places, buzzy places. You know, I don't go and hide with all the old people in a bingo hall or something, you know.
I think Tina,
Fish shop is
we need to
where
get
it's at.
Tina to come back and do some dating advice for some of our viewers.
Sure, would you
some
do that
phone-ins
for
with
us?
Tina.
I'd love to.
Yes.
I'd
and
love
maybe we
to.
can find some dates for Tina to go out on as well. Is that there's Josh over there?
We know her type. That's the thing. We know her type now.
Lovely. Tina, thank you for coming in. And as Kat says, bring a ray of sunshine and joy to us all as well. Keep being you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.
Now, the last night, ITV's BAFTA-winning show, Long Lost Family, returned to our screens. This time, focusing on people who were quite literally born without a trace.
And in tonight's episode, we'll hear the story of Rachel MacArthur, who shortly after birth in 1969 was abandoned in a long-stay car park at London's Euston Station and became known as the Euston Baby.
And now, more than 50 years later, Rachel contacted the Long Lost Family team to try and get some of those answers she's been so desperately looking for. She joins us now. Lovely to see you this morning, Rachel.
Thank you.
Kat and I have watched this episode of Long Lost Family, and it is truly remarkable. I wonder how you feel about the fact that people are finally going to get to see it, because you must have filmed it a while back.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. It's just such an amazing story to find out there were so many of us as well. You know, we're one of 12. But I think the thing that meant the most that I had 2 full siblings. So that meant such a lot to me as well.
Well, come to the siblings, because the siblings thing is just one of the most exciting bits of it, of course.
Lovely.
But tell us about your story. It's just one of those things. It's like a fairy tale, really, isn't it? We talk about babies being left at stations.
Call them foundlings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that was actually your existence.
Yes, it was. So I think I was around 6 weeks old, and I got taken into care after I'd been found in the station. And at the time, my adoptive mum, she was running a children's home, and she had one space, and they phoned her and said, "Have you heard of the Euston baby? Would you like to come and meet her?" And that was it. My mum fell in love with me, and she adopted me after 12 months. We moved up to the Midlands, and I had an idyllic childhood, really. It was perfect. Little country village, ran the post office there. So it probably wasn't until I was about 7 or 8 that my mum had gradually introduced me into Paddington Bear.
Yeah. Phyllis, she did, didn't she? Because he was left at a train station.
And she told me one evening, I can still remember it, and she said that I'm just like Paddington Bear. And he was left in the station, and so were you. And I think at such a young age, you don't really realise what that meant until I got a bit older. And I think I'd questioned my brother, actually, rather than my mother. Do you have to be born to a mother? Or are you just adopted? So I think there was a bit of a process as I was growing up, but it probably didn't really affect me until I was in my teens, when, you understand, what's happened to you, what the circumstances, you don't know what they were, and that doesn't sit well on your mind, especially when you're a teenager.
Yeah, of course.
So, but I had the support of my parents, the support of my family, and as I've gone on in life, I've been quite resentful to my birth mother. Didn't know her circumstances. And I think it probably wasn't until I'd given birth to my son, who's now 14, that I actually kind of came to terms a bit with how horrible it must have been to carry a baby for 9 months and then keep it for 6 weeks and then give it away, leave it. And that was it. I understand that she told nobody about my existence, so...
We know that now, don't we, of course, since you've been through the programme. But it took the birth of your son for you to sort of realise how painful that must have been.
Yeah, I sort of
how difficult.
Came to terms with it, and I stopped being so angry at her and resentful. It's funny you mentioned the word foundling, because there was a series called Foundlings, and I used to watch that, and I used to get really angry watching it. Probably, because it's so premeditated to leave a baby somewhere. It still goes on now.
Well, that was the moment when you went to Euston Station and you actually stood there and had that moment of realisation of, she was there with you 6 weeks, and she'd made the decision that was what she was going to do, and she thought that was the best. So as you've kind of started to piece together the story, what did you find out about your birth mother?
She hadn't had a very good upbringing. No. I think she'd grown up in care with her. She was one of 4, so they all grew up in care. She had my older sister, Eileen, when she was 14. And then she's had me when she was 15. And we believe that she was living on the streets.
Right.
With Eileen and myself.
Yeah.
So she then went on to have another child a year later. And that was Shane. And he was taken straight to social services, I believe, in Ireland.
Yeah.
And was adopted.
So you suddenly find out about your mum, but crucially, you find out about your siblings.
Yeah.
You've got a sister and a brother.
Yeah.
And then there's more siblings as well along the way that are half brothers or sisters or connected in some way. But you have these 2 brothers. What was that moment like when they told you had siblings?
I couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe it. I always wanted a big family. And, part of my thing, did I have more siblings? Was she still alive? Sadly, she's not. I'm not going to be able to meet her. But to find out that I have such a big family, and of course the age we are, where they've all had kids themselves.
So there's extended
So
nieces and nephews,
lots to meet.
When you met, you had like an instantaneous kind of connection. I think we've got Eileen down the line now.
Because she's in Canada.
Good morning, Eileen. Good morning. Thank you so much for staying awake for us.
No problem.
Thank you. So how was this moment for you? Because it's an incredible moment in the show where you both walk into this room together and you hold and hold and hold each other and kind of don't let go.
It was amazing, actually, when I first found out about her, which was in November of last year. And I was told that I have a sister. But at first they thought I was just a half sister, and did the DNA and found out we were full blood sisters. And that was pretty amazing. So, when I met her, it was just, first I saw a picture of her and we do look alike. So that was kind of neat. And when I met her, it was, I always felt like there was something missing in my life. And I at first thought it was Shane when I was told about Shane. That wasn't quite it. And then when I met Rachel, it just seemed like that was it. She was the one I was missing.
Yeah.
And didn't know about it, but...
Had your mum ever mentioned anything to you over the years, Eileen?
Nothing at all. So, she was... I think it was 2011 that I found out about Shane. And that was because Shane was trying to get a hold of our family, get a hold of us.
Yeah.
She felt like she was forced to tell me. And but nobody knew, not my aunt or anybody.
And did Rachel look like your mum when you saw her first time?
She does look like my mum. She's got similar eyes to my mom, sure.
And they look so similar
you do,
too.
Looking at the two of you as well, it's just amazing. I imagine you had so many questions for her, Rachel, when you first met.
Yeah, absolutely, loads. You know, when you're a foundling, it's one big thing that nobody looks like you. So it was just amazing to be able to look at, my sister and pictures and see people that look like me. It was just such a big thing for me.
And the most amazing thing now is you've got each other forever now.
Yeah.
And that connection will always now be there.
Yeah, like I say, it's built. I always had that connection initially, but it's got stronger and stronger.
Well, look, we are thrilled that you came in to share your story.
You.
It's
delighted for you.
Thank you, Rachel. Eileen, thank you for staying up. You can go to bed now. I think it's about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But it's lovely to see the two sisters side by side as well.
And
like
you
peas in a pod.
See the story tonight at 9 o'clock on ITV1. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning. Ahead of a new documentary, Detective Constable Maddie Henner, who was lead on the case, joins us alongside Emil's ex-partner, Nicolene Shepherd. Good morning to you guys. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Tell me what you thought when you first heard about this case, Marie.
So the first time I heard about this case, I was at work on CID in Salisbury. And we had a phone call into the office. It had been a very busy day. It was a bank holiday Monday. It had been a very busy day and a phone call came in. And it was from the chief instructor at Netheravon Airfield where the accident had happened. And he phoned up to say that there'd been an incident the day before and he had some doubts about it. He was unsure about it and thought that police ought to be involved.
So initially, everyone thought it was just a tragic accident, that the parachute and the reserve hadn't opened and that she had crashed to ground. Miraculously, she did survive, but it was only when suddenly they looked at the parachute, they thought, hold on, this doesn't look like it was an accident, this has been tampered with.
Yes, as you say, miraculously, she survived.
It's incredible.
Somebody was certainly looking after her that day. I think right from the start, the chief instructor had some doubts.
Suspicion, right.
He thought something was not right about it, hence he'd called in police. Yeah.
Right. And did Victoria have any thoughts that it might be her husband at all? When you first started talking to her, what did she think had happened?
I think you'd probably have to ask her, but I think she realised that this couldn't have happened accidentally when we explained the technical side of why the parachute had failed. But I'm not sure that she thought it was her husband at that point.
When did Emil become the suspect, the main suspect?
So about a week and a half after the incident, I received a phone call at work from a friend of Victoria's, and she said that she had some concerns.
And she was a doctor too, wasn't she?
She was.
Yeah, I
yes,
remember.
in the military, yes.
Yeah.
She said she had some concerns about their relationship, and that it wasn't quite the perfect relationship that it appeared from, to the outside world. And she asked if she could talk to me about it. So I took a statement from her about 2 weeks later, at which point we thought, yeah, he's going to have to be spoken to officially.
And so then you spoke to him, you interviewed him, and straight away, your hairs kind of went up on the back of you. There was a certain level of intuition that you kind of listened to, and you were like, I'm not sure about this guy.
Yes. It's funny, when you deal with people all the time as a police officer, you learn to read people.
Very much so.
And I think he just made me very uncomfortable right from the get-go.
In what way?
He was supremely confident. When you've been arrested on suspicion of attempting to murder your partner, to be that supremely confident did not feel right.
It's interesting, Nicoline, because you met Emil many, many years before, and you sort of were childhood sweethearts, I guess. What was your experience of meeting him when you were a teenager and falling in love with him?
Don't really know how to explain it. I was a child, and I think I had sort of held a candle for him before I actually officially met him, because he was older than me. He was higher up in school. He was quite popular. He was part of the athletic team. So there was already a sort of attraction there before we even met.
And then when you did get together, and very quickly you fell pregnant.
3 years.
Yeah. But in terms of your age, I mean, you've known him for a few years. You were only 16 at the time?
Yeah.
When you got pregnant with your first child.
Yeah.
Suddenly you were in a relationship with him. What was he like? When you think back to it now, did some of the sort of the controlling, coercive behaviour that we've come to understand is his way, do you see that now when you look back?
I see it looking back, 2020 is hindsight, but because I was so young, I didn't realise it at the time. So for me, it was just normal. It was my first serious relationship, so I didn't have anything to compare it to. But yeah, looking back, there's definitely things. It was all very much about him and how he wanted, and you just had this inkling that if you didn't do things the way he wanted it, there'd be consequences. So you'd change your behaviour in order to please him, without him having to say you have to.
It was a very controlling relationship for both you and Victoria,
Yeah,
actually. I think she had the same thing, because Maddie, she was reporting to you and she wasn't being completely honest at all times, I don't think. And he'd actually attempted to kill her before.
He had. It's quite convoluted how we ended up there, but once we'd spoken to her on a video previously, and she'd given us an outline of their relationship. When I arrested him, my colleagues then had to go and tell her that he wasn't coming home. He was being bailed away from the home. And at that point, she told them about a gas leak the week prior to the parachute incident, which it transpired he'd also done to try and kill her.
And didn't he say he try putting the cooker on? I mean, he was
encouraging her.
He really was.
He was. So she had messaged him at work and said, I think there's a gas leak, and he said, have you tried the stove? Well, she hadn't, thankfully.
But you described her as a hostile witness as well. Can you just explain what that means to sort of the layman?
So when we had two trials. In the first trial, she was a witness, and when she came up onto the stand, she then started to change the story that she had told us originally. She said that he had not been... So he had taken her parachute to the toilet, and we believe that's when he had tampered with it. And she started to say that he had not been in the toilet for as long as she claimed initially, that she was gunning for him. We just told her that he was having an affair, and he was denying... paternity of their son. So she was gunning for him. And she then said that, in actual fact, she thinks she cut away a good parachute. and that she, you know, it didn't fail. She cut it away because she had panicked.
I mean, years later, now when she's reflecting on this and the trial in the documentary, she's more honest about how she sees things. But back then, she was clearly still caught in this spell. This coercive control that he had over her was so compelling.
It's certainly, when we analysed the situation, we deemed that she was in a coercive, controlling relationship. And he had the strongest hold over anybody I have ever come across.
I wonder, Nicoline, how you feel. I mean, what he ended up doing to you is he ended up deciding, as you said, it was all about him. You're pregnant, you had a child. He decides he's going to move to England because that's what he wants to do. And then he ends up marrying someone, even though you were engaged and you only heard about. I mean, it's extraordinary what he put you through. You then come to England, you sort of get back together with him. All these years later, when you see what happened to Victoria, I wonder how you feel looking at the relationship from the outside, from your perspective.
Looking at their relationship.
Yeah, and what you went through, and perhaps how lucky you were that you weren't in that situation.
I dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of parallels between mine and Victoria's relationship with him, with certain things that he did, like denying paternity of a child, cheating all the time, those kind of things. Some that I probably would never even know about. I feel lucky.
Have you ever connected with Victoria? Have you ever been able to speak to her?
I would love to, but no, I haven't.
Because there will be some shared sort of, I don't know, experience that the two of you together might be able to help each other through what you went through. Because I'd imagine, Maddie, that is the thing. It's like this experience, the reality of it, the headlines, the story.
Yes.
It's something that will stay with all of you that have been under his spell.
Oh, 100%. I think in many different ways it affected us all.
And you identified with it very strongly, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely. I was in a fairly dysfunctional relationship at the time and could identify with Victoria and what she was going through at that time. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it has affected a lot of us in many different ways. And I think mentally it would take Victoria a while to get through that. Physically she may have healed, but I think mentally, you know, it's like we say in the docudrama, you carry the scars with you.
Absolutely. Well, it's absolutely intriguing. It's gripping. You can't stop watching it. Thank you so much for coming on the show this morning and for telling your stories. The full Skydive murder plot is on Tuesday. That's tomorrow at 9 o'clock on Channel 4. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much.
And if you've been affected by any of the topics that we've been discussing in this item, you can head to our website where there are helplines that I'm sure will be able to help.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.
We are highlighting an issue that's very close to our hearts here at This Morning.
Yeah, so last month, a 12-year-old girl with a peanut allergy was reportedly thrown off a plane with her family after airline staff refused to make an announcement requesting passengers refrain from eating nuts.
Legally, passengers can eat and even purchase nuts on planes, despite peanut allergies affecting 2% of children.
Yeah. So to highlight the issue, we're joined by campaigners Nadim, Ednan Laperouse and Lindsay Bowers, who both know firsthand the very serious consequences of overlooking severe food allergies, alongside Professor Adam Fox, who's a leading expert in paediatrician allergies as well. Nadim, thank you so much for joining us, all of you. I don't want to go over or make you retell the story too much, but can you tell us briefly about Natasha and the terrible circumstance?
Yes, so my daughter Natasha, she was allergic to a number of foods, including sesame seeds. And back in summer of 2016, when I was going on a short holiday with her and a friend, taking a flight from Heathrow to south of France, we bought a sandwich for her in the Heathrow Terminal 5, and it looked perfectly fine to eat, and the ingredients had no mention of sesame, to which she was allergic. But she ate the sandwich just before boarding. 2-hour flight, and about halfway through, she was really, really unwell and had a serious anaphylactic reaction, which is a really powerful allergic reaction to something that she'd eaten. We weren't sure what, but very quickly the situation turned really bad mid-flight, and I injected her with 2 auto-injectors of adrenaline.
Did you have those with you?
Always, because people who are seriously food allergic know their circumstances, as do their families if they're children, and also carry always 2 of these devices, really, just in case. It's a good precaution. I used both of them, an adult dose. It made no difference whatsoever. She collapsed on the plane and went into cardiac arrest. And by the time the plane had landed, she was almost dead, and she was taken off the plane dead.
So sorry, Nadim.
No one wants to see their child in that situation. And the worst thing was her mum wasn't there either, was she?
No, my wife and her mother wasn't there. It was terrifying to have to make that call to her once we'd landed to give her the news, and she was back in London and she just collapsed. Yeah, very, very tragic situation.
Nadim, you've dedicated your life to raising awareness of food allergies. Can you tell us a little bit about Natasha's Law and what you wanted to do and what it's done?
Yes, so back in 2018, there was the inquest into the death of our daughter Natasha, and that brought certain things to light in the public domain. And Tanya and I, my wife and I, we realised immediately that there was a real threat to other people's lives here, because the coroner said explicitly that a loophole in the food laws was being used by large food companies, which basically meant they did not have to put the full ingredients on food products that were packaged. They could write whatever they liked. Some of the ingredients, none of them partial ingredients. And of course, for food allergic people who really rely on labels and ingredients to see what's in the food, to make a decision for themselves, the right one, that is a very, very dangerous situation. And so we campaigned very quickly, started campaigning, meeting various government ministers and so forth, to make a change in the law, the food law, to close that loophole, to stop big food businesses basically getting away with, well, potentially very tragic situations for millions of other food allergic people in the UK. And that law passed through Parliament in 2019 and became effective 2 years later across the UK, and has made a huge difference to millions of people.
Of course, yeah.
It's unbelievable. We're going to move on to Lindsay now. Morning, Lindsay.
Good morning.
We know you very well because obviously you've worked here at This Morning, and someone who we absolutely adore, Amy May, who you were really close friends with, weren't you, here when you worked here at This Morning? Tell us a little bit about Amy.
She was my best friend here, and she lit up a room and she walked into it. Everyone knew her. She dressed fabulously. She had amazing hair and makeup at all times. And while we worked here together, we were both two blonde, bubbly girls from Essex, and we just became really, really good friends really fast, and just spent a lot of time having a massive laugh, basically.
And Amy's circumstance was that she was she was away in Hungary, wasn't she? And she even had
cards
Yeah.
to say that she was allergic to.
Yeah, she went to Budapest on a girls' trip and had cards in Hungarian saying I have a serious allergy. And unfortunately, she went to a restaurant and her food was contaminated, and she had a catastrophic reaction. Her brain was deprived of oxygen for 6 minutes. And she went into cardiac arrest, and she's now left severely brain damaged in a wheelchair.
And she has been on the show before, but she's in a situation now where she can't really come on the show. She can't come now.
Yeah, before she still had some kind of life in her. She would laugh, she would smile, she would show a lot of acknowledgement of the things you were telling her. But in December 2022, she started having a lot of seizures, repeatedly so, and she was on and off lots of different medication. And since then, she's just so depressed, so angry. The last couple of times I've been to see her, she's just not the same Amy.
Yeah.
You don't get the same belly laughs. And it's a lot bleaker now.
It's so sad. And how's her parents, Sue and Roger? How are they doing?
Not good. You know, Amy's their only daughter, and every time I see them, I can see just how much this affects them. Every birthday, every Christmas. Even, you know, if I have something going on in my life, I feel guilty for celebrating it, because there's always that thought of Amy should be celebrating things in her life as well, and she can't.
We know they're watching today, and we send them all our love.
We do.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Amy May Trust and what the purpose and the goal is?
Yes, so the Amy May Trust was set up by her Aunt Julie and cousin Tom, and really it's to cover the immense costs of her therapies and her medical needs, because she's been through rehabilitation, She's had speech therapy, hydrotherapy, all sorts of things, just keeping her comfortable and happy. It costs an awful lot.
Oh. And obviously she's still very part of our family, isn't she? She here this morning. Also, let's go on to Professor Fox. How common are these nut allergies?
So nut allergies affect about 1 in 50 children. And many people will think, well, when I grew up, that it was really rare to be allergic to nuts, and it has become a lot more common. And certainly through the 2000s, we saw around a trebling of the number of people who suffer from nut allergies. So now most classrooms in any school, there'll be somebody with a nut or certainly a food allergy.
What's the best way of preventing them from happening?
There's a lot of exciting research over the last few years that suggests that if during early weaning of infants, the foods that you're at risk of becoming allergic to, so peanut, for example, are introduced without delay at all. So rather than putting off the introduction of them as weaning foods, including peanut butter, for example, sesame, egg, as weaning foods from as early as even 4 or 5 months, might reduce the risk of those allergies developing.
It's funny because my wife has a nut allergy, and which is easier said than done because she obviously can't wean our son onto peanut butter, but that's what we've done. We've tried to introduce it to him as early as possible.
This is all obviously thanks to the Natasha Trust while all this research is happening, isn't it?
Well, there are several really interesting studies going on, and Professor Adam Fox is referring to one of them that was done quite some years ago that produced results really that showed that if you early weaning of ordinarily allergenic foods, as you were describing, is beneficial. Natasha's foundation, the charity, the UK food charity, has been funding a £2.5 million clinical trial across 5 big hospitals in the United Kingdom to desensitise children and young people for their food allergies to peanuts and to cow's milk, which are probably the 2 worst allergens in the UK food system in society. And recently, there was some news that came out that was showing that although the trial isn't finished yet, and we really must wait for a trial to be finished to get a full, proper result, early indications show that children who are on the trial are really benefiting. And previously they couldn't eat any nuts or a fraction of a nut, and a matter of months later they're eating 6 peanuts a day. And that's without the use of any drugs or pharmaceuticals. It's actually using shop-bought foods to treat them, which is seems quite revolutionary, really.
Absolutely.
Should add, it's really important that people don't try to do that themselves at home.
Yeah.
It's important that that's done under very careful medical supervision.
Can we just quickly go through the signs of someone who's going through when they're in shock?
Well, most reactions will thankfully be mild. So the typical signs will be very quick after eating the food, itchiness around the mouth, swelling, hives, things like that. But even an early sign of a more severe reaction, so that would be persistent coughing, any sort of difficulty in breathing, change in voice, or any suggestion that your blood pressure's dropping, so dizziness, confusion, those are signs of a more severe allergic reaction. And the most important things to do then are make sure somebody's calling for help. If there's adrenaline available, so an EpiPen or a Jext, get on and give it. It's a very safe drug. There's no reason to delay. And if you're not sure if it's bad enough, give it anyway and ask questions after. And if it's not better within 5 minutes, give the next one that you've got. And also lie the patient down as well. If they're uncomfortable because it's hard for them to breathe, they can sit up, but don't stand them up or try to walk them around.
Why is that?
Because that will make the blood pressure drop even further. Right. And it's been shown from a number of studies that if you stay lying flat, that's your best chance, and even raising the legs, of keeping the blood pressure up during that critical time.
Do raise the legs?
So you can raise the legs, but make the patient comfortable, but really lying down and not moving them around.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Professor Fox, Lindsay and Nadine, thank you for joining us. And thanks so much. And once again, sending lots of love to Amy May watching at home.
Thank you so much for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every single day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the morning.
Now, it's been 9 years since our next guests went on their first official date, a day that neither of them would ever forget.
Yeah, what was meant to be the dream date quickly turned into a nightmare for then teenagers Leah and Joe after a catastrophic roller coaster crash at Alton Towers. Left them with both life-changing injuries.
Yet, despite the tragic circumstance, their relationship overcame the odds, and they join us today, fresh from their honeymoon, with the happy news of their marriage.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
How was the honeymoon?
It was amazing.
Yeah, really good.
But it's not like the official honeymoon, really.
No.
That's like a mini-moon.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
But have a mini moon, Babs.
I didn't know there was such a thing as a mini moon.
The mini moon, and then it gives you an excuse to say to all your friends and family, but we're going to go away on the big honeymoon later.
Yeah. I love that. How was the wedding? How did it go?
Oh, it was
Amazing. Everything and more that we could have asked for,
Yeah.
like 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Everything
look
went
at
to
the
plan.
dress. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, it's beautiful.
It does feel like... I remember this story like it was yesterday. So
Yeah.
it doesn't... 9 years is extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's flown,
Yeah, it's
honestly,
mad.
onto him.
Like, it does seem like it was yesterday,
Yeah.
to be fair, but so much has obviously happened in between, and obviously now we're married.
I can't believe that fatal day, that awful day, was that was the first date that you were on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you even meet? How did it all even happen?
We had like mutual friends.
Yeah.
And then Joe started talking to me on Facebook, as they do.
And you were
it
in?
just
As
yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
Well, suits hanging around there.
And then it just kind of went from there, didn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
We went
Pretty
out
much.
for like a couple of meals and went to the cinema and things,
Yeah.
and then went to Alton Towers.
Yeah, that was
and-
like his first like big outing
Yeah.
together, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the first time you'd met them.
No.
No.
Obviously, we don't want to focus too much on the day because this is a day of this is a story of happiness and it's a story of incredible resolve and friendship.
Yeah.
But what do you remember afterwards, and how did the relationship then start to foster? After during your recovery.
I think it were difficult, to be fair. Like we've said numerous times, like if that had probably not happened, we might not have been together now.
Really? Why?
Because things just change and things just get in the way. Like we were both obviously going to uni, like would have been living separate cities. Like it's just, I don't know. I don't know. Only time would have told, wouldn't it? But yeah.
It were very early days, and I was starting Leeds University in the September, so we would have been like miles away from each other. So I don't know if it would have stuck.
Did either of you get to university in the end?
Joe was at uni.
Yeah, I completed mine because I were a year ahead of Leah even starting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think the accident 100% brought us closer together.
Yeah.
Like we had nobody else that could relate to obviously what we were going through apart from each other.
Sure.
So it was kind of common ground.
When you were going through your recovery, did you actually speak to each other and phone each other and see how you were getting on?
Yeah, so after the accident, we were in the same hospital. So I used to go up and visit him in his bed, and he used to pop down and see me. And
So that's your courtship period.
yeah, in hospital.
You're like, we're waking up going, who's here again?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
We had,
it was
like,
so
Chinese,
weird. Yeah, it was but it was so awkward. Like it was so weird because we were literally starting it fresh,
Yeah.
but surrounded by obviously press, parents. Like it weren't natural.
Physio,
It was
appointments.
strange.
So when did it become natural? Because obviously there would have been a friendship there. You would have been bound by this terrible event that happened to you. So, but when did it? You obviously had feelings for each other, but when did it sort of develop into we're just kind of dating now normally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably about 6 months into it, like
Yeah.
after the accident, because like you weren't driving, we couldn't do
No.
anything on his own. It were just literally us and his parents in wheelchairs,
Yeah.
trying to do his best.
Sure.
So until we had that independence, were probably when it started to become more of a
and then we
relationship.
could just kind of start fresh, really.
It's unbelievable because obviously you lost your left leg, so you was
Yeah.
in a wheelchair. You had severed fingers.
Yeah.
So did you have to like learn how to push the wheelchair?
Yeah.
It must have been so difficult.
Yeah, it were. Like obviously both my kneecaps were shattered as well,
Yeah.
and then obviously my hand injuries as well. So I remember like us first like date that we went on when I'd first started driving, and we were
Where did you
pushing this
go?
wheelchair. I think it was like Yorkshire Wildlife
yeah,
Park
we
or
went to
something
Yorkshire
like that. And Leah were like, "How are we going to manage with this wheelchair? Like, we've never done this before. What do we do?" But
We managed it.
yeah, it was sound.
It was
But
Did you find laughter quite early?
Yeah.
Because of that.
You had to.
Yeah, right.
I think if
Yeah.
you didn't laugh, you'd cry, because
Yeah.
your body, both his bodies had changed so much, and we were learning to like move on with these injuries. So if we didn't laugh, we'd have cried.
It's so true, so true. And I heard, Joe, you was a little bit emotional on the big day when she walked down the
Yeah.
aisle.
Very emotional.
Yeah.
Didn't you warn him though and say,
Yeah.
if you don't cry,
Yeah.
I'm going?
yeah.
Like if you're not crying when I walk down the aisle, I'm walking the other way.
Yeah. So really, we're all fake. I'd practice. No, I'm joking.
No, is it quite I suppose with your family there, I
Yeah.
suppose the whole situation is quite overwhelming, isn't it, in that
Yeah,
moment?
100%. Like I knew as soon as she walked down, like I knew her entrance song. I knew the minutes that she were coming in and the bridesmaids were coming in because she'd practiced that many times. But it is once you see your friends, your family, like it just a different emotion kind of just takes over you.
I think weddings are emotional anyway.
I love a wedding.
Yeah.
I do.
Did you ever almost feel like it was happening to someone else? It's quite it's an out-body experience, a wedding in many ways.
Yeah.
We keep saying, like, we keep watching back videos and
Yeah.
stuff, and we're like, it just doesn't feel like it actually did happen.
No.
I just saw that clip there with all the glitter. How much glitter was there? Who did that glitter drop? But that's like a Strictly glitter.
Yeah. We had two of his friends do confetti cannons.
Oh, it's so
on his
lovely.
first dance
Yeah.
How did he propose?
in Venice. No, Venice.
Yes. Smoothie.
On a gondola.
No.
No,
We'd
how
just
did he
been
do it?
on a gondola.
Yeah.
And then we were just taking pictures, weren't we, like round Venice. And I had some pictures to take in some outfits. And we went down like, it's an alley, but I don't want to call it an alley.
It sounds really seedy. It was like a quiet street.
It's the best line. Drag me down the alley and then...
No, it was just like a quiet...
full of like little street. We'll call it a little street.
Yeah.
Next to the river. So it was really nice.
Never be presumptuous to say that we know you guys, but your energy is extraordinary and you are so inspirational to people because you're looking to the future.
Yeah.
You're not defined by what's happened to you.
Yeah,
You're
definitely.
just doing your thing.
We're very positive people, and I think we've definitely got the positive out of what's happened.
And you're doing a lot for the air ambulance for the
Yes,
Midlands, which is
yeah.
great, and Limbo as well, aren't you?
Yeah. So we've just started planning a big charity ball for next year,
Lovely.
as it's 10 years since the accident. So we're going to raise money for the Midlands Air Ambulance, Yorkshire Air Ambulance, and then Limbo Foundation.
Wow.
Yeah, what would you say to people? We interviewed Craig McKinley last week, so someone who's lost his limbs. What would you say to people that are going through what you've been through? At the start of that journey?
It's hard. It's very hard, but you've just got to keep going, and life does get better.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you both.
Thank you so much, Leah and Joe. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every single day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the morning.
It always moves me so much when I hear him perform because he's just a young lad from East London.
Oh.
And he has a superpower with words. How are you?
Emotional.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Just because we're here and this book is like, seeing you holding it, you're holding a piece of so many people's hearts.
Yeah.
And like, for me to be sat here, colour coordinated, obviously I got the memo with your bottoms and Ben's top. Like, I just feel like it's such a moment.
Yeah.
I'm 33, I've been writing since I was 15.
Yeah.
So it feels like my first day.
Well, and also, you've got some amazing people to contribute to the book. I mean, some, fair to middling as well.
Some are easier to get than others.
But you must feel an incredible sense of responsibility in order to get it right. And it's so important to so many people.
Yeah. And I'm incredibly thankful to everyone who trusted me because it's such a sensitive, delicate situation and responsibility is the right word. And I'm thankful to my family, my sisters and my dad and my nieces and nephews for understanding that I'm not around because this took so much from me.
So the essence of this book, you're saying you've written poetry in the past and Life is Sad and Beautiful was such an amazing book. But this is about, I wanted to quit too. This is about those moments that everybody has been through where you wanted to get their little sense of a moment in their life, despite how it might seem, where they've wanted to quit too. So you've spoken to actors and musicians and business people and influencers and leaders in industry. And it's an incredible anthology of their moments where they wanted to quit too.
Yeah, and it was accidental. This book was never part of a plan in life. But I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, Sinead Harnett, and led me to saying to her I wanted to quit. And we started talking about it. And I hate the title. I hate the title of it because of how real it is.
Yeah.
When I even say, book's called I Wanted to Quit Too, it reminds me. But I should hate it. It should make me feel uncomfortable.
But I think that's why people identify with it so much, because of the title. It's that thing that draws people in. And, from you losing your mum and just talking about those little moments in time where she stays with you and those little bits of advice that she'd give you.
Yeah, she's amazing. And I feel like she'd be mad at me right now.
Why? Oh, your birthday. Is it the birthday she'd be angry about?
I got her birthday wrong in the book. On the third page.
On the third page?
Yeah, Uncle Larry Lamb pointed it out to me. I didn't know your mum was 70. I said, she's not Larry, she's 49. He said, well, why did you put she was born in 1947? And I'm like, I can't blame the editor on that one. It's my fault. But I felt like that's her reminding me, like, don't take this too seriously. And it's 7 years since she's passed, and I'm thankful, Mum, for all the lessons you taught me beyond your grave, because they don't leave you. They never leave you. They're with you, and you have to understand that. No one can tell you that. You have to understand that.
There's some incredible, as Kat said, there's some incredible people in this book, but there is an advert for the book as well that is voiced by someone extraordinary. We're going to play a little bit of the clip here. This is the advert for the book.
Guess who it is?
To be wise is to know great failure and victory, to have experienced all, and to have made every mistake in the book.
I wasn't sure who it was when you first played it.
Excuse me, you say Manuel. That's Tom Hardy voicing the
It is. I can't believe it myself. I can't believe it myself. I'm so blessed, so lucky, so fortunate to have met people, and they for some reason trust me.
We do.
With their voice and their
also
words.
just having that chance at 14 when your teacher said to you, you go and do this poetry slam and do it, and believing in you.
He was like, you got something to say? Go say it there. And I was like, all right, I will. And then I walked into this room and people are performing and people are clicking, and I'm like, oh, I want some clicks.
Yeah.
And then that changed my life. I entered a portal, like Narnia. I entered the wardrobe and I came out the other side, and every day I feel like it's my first day at work.
Well, you've created an amazing book. Thank you so much. It's
Top 3
I wanted
Sunday
to
Times
quit
bestseller
too.
list.
It is out now. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's always magical to see you. In colour coordinated outfits as well.
We're going to carry on.
I got the memo.
Here's your weather.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.